YouTubers, welcome back to Eli Dobody Tech. It's been a while since I've done a video, so this video is not going to be based on a full-blown diagnostic. I'm just going to show you guys a summary of a pre-diagnosed but not a full-blown diagnosis, since the customer is not paying me to do a full diagnostic. I just did my basic checks. As you can see in the top left corner, this vehicle has a P0401 EGR insufficient flow. The problem that I suspect on this vehicle, which is a common problem on this 90s Honda Accords, pretty much a plugged up EGR ports on the intake runners that's causing a restriction and insufficient flow to the system. So the basic checks I did was pretty much use a handheld vacuum pump, as you can see is right here. And then I also checked it electronically to see if the EGR was working properly by manually energizing the EGR control solenoid, which I use a piercing tool and a test light. So let me go ahead and show you guys. The first step I did was by using the handheld vacuum pump connected to the EGR valve port, which is this right here. So I'm pretty much going to remove this hose here from this port, connect my tube for my handheld vacuum pump to this vacuum hose, and then manually pump it. And we're going to see that the vehicle is going to change the RPMs, but not enough to cause the vehicle to stall out. Usually when you apply vacuum to the EGR, the vehicle will stall out or run very rough. So I'm going to show you guys. In this case, this vehicle does run slightly rough, but not to a point that it's going to make the vehicle stall out. So here we go. Alright guys, so I got the handheld vacuum pump already connected to that vacuum hose to the EGR valve. I'm going to go ahead and apply anywhere from 2 to 5 inches of mercury. The vehicle should run rough, but in this case this vehicle does have a partial restriction, as you can see. Here we go. It is running rough, but usually around anywhere from 3 to 5 inches of vacuum, the vehicle will tend to stall out. In this case it's not. It does run rough, but not enough to make it stall. So that pretty much leads me to conclude that this vehicle has a restriction, most likely in the EGR ports, which are in the intake runners. Luckily for this 94 through 97 Honda Accords, Honda made it much easier to service them. So pretty much they added a cover to the EGR ports. I'm not sure you guys can see that cover, which is right there, just below the fuel rail. So to get to that cover, you must remove the fuel rail to service these EGR ports. So once you clean the carbon deposit, that should clear the P0401. And another potential problem could be a restricted EGR valve. So might as well also check your EGR valve for carbon buildup or restriction. Alright guys, so since I already showed you guys how to check it manually with the handheld vacuum pump, for those that like to use high-tech tools or do electronic or check the system electronically, I'm going to go ahead and use a test light. I'm using a piercing tool here. I'm piercing the red wire, which is the negative control side of the circuit. The wire that's black and yellow, that's your power feed, which comes from a fuse. I think it's 7.5 amp fuse. But like I said, the red wire, hopefully you guys can see it there. That's your ground side switch, ground. The computer controls your ground. So here we go. Like I said, I'm connected to battery negative, so I'm acting like if I was a computer. So I'm gonna go ahead and so before I do that, let me remove this connection here. plug it back into its original location. Let's go back to this piercing tool here and touch the ground. There we go. See, the vehicle does run rough again when I manually energize the solenoid. There we go. It runs rough, but not enough to make it stall. So that just tells me that this vehicle does have a partial restriction in the EGR system here. Most likely the EGR ports. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this little quick overview of my basic checks to pretty much assume that this vehicle does have a problem on the EGR ports, which is on the intake runner. And secondly, it could be your EGR valve that could also be restricted. So I would go ahead and, if I was doing this job, you know, I would pretty much remove the EGR valve, clean it, at the same time remove that EGR port cover and clean all the EGR passages that go to each cylinder on the intake runners. Alright guys, you know, it's gonna be a little quick bonus video. So as I was performing my basic checks on the EGR system, I noticed something on the engine cooling fans. As you can see, the radiator fan has kicked in, but the AC fan is not even spinning, or it's dead. So make sure that you have good working fans. If not, that will cause premature failure on the radiator. Especially on the one side that the radiator is not working, it will cause it to leak. It'll wear out the seal. For example, for this radiator, it will be on the left side top cover or the lower cover. Let me show you guys one more time as the fans kick in. If I spin the fan manually with my hand, you'll see it kind of wanting to spin, but it dies out quick. So let's wait for it to kick in once again. So this vehicle will need an AC cooling fan replacement. So here we go. See? Yeah, it's pretty much, the motor has gone bad, pretty much gone bad on this fan here. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Alright, this is Eli the Overly Tech. Subscribe if you like.